Hi there, this is John Wilkinson again from History Made Easier. Calling off the passive resistance in 1923 was bowing to French pressure, and there were those Germans who saw it as a further humiliation heaped on Germany. But Germany was being bankrupted by passive resistance. It needed to get the Ruhr back to work. And though some Germans saw it as an act of betrayal, we historians can see it as an act of great political courage. And Germany did recover, to an extent. Stresemann scrapped the old mark, introduced a temporary currency, the Rentenmark, strictly controlled the amount of currency in circulation, and with the economy stabilised, introduced the Reichsmark in 1924, all of which helped to restore confidence in the German economy. Reparation payments were both resumed and were made easier by the Dawes Plan. The payments would recommence at 1 billion gold marks, increasing annually over a period of 5 years until they reached 2.5 billion gold marks. However, the Reichsbank was obliged to reorganise under Allied supervision to ensure the stability of the new mark, as well as the German economy as a whole. Germany would also receive a loan of 800 million marks to kick-start its economy and help it make the reparation payments. Indeed, in total, Germany received over 25 billion marks in loans from America between 1924 and 1929. These loans helped Germany with its reparation payments, provided money for new machinery, new factories, new roads and railways, and new housing, all of which would provide jobs and help the German economy recover. By 1928, production was at last back to pre-war levels. The big winners were big industries, for example steel and chemicals, and landowners, particularly those who owned land in towns where prices were rocketing. But workers benefited too, as pay and conditions steadily improved. Also, the French and Belgian troops left the Ruhr in the summer of 1925. However, Stresemann also had to reduce government spending, and this involved 700,000 government employees losing their jobs. And as Stresemann pointed out, Germany was made reliant on those American loans. But Weimar did recover and entered its golden age. Stresemann's government hadn't lasted long though, barely 100 days. It paid the price of doing what had been necessary. However, Stresemann's influence on the Republic continued as foreign minister, the position he held right up to his death in 1929, and his policy of fulfilling the terms of the hated Treaty of Versailles, whilst all the time trying to revise, even bring about an end to those same terms, brought Germany in from the cold. He negotiated the Locarno treaties, and as a direct result, Germany entered the League of Nations as a permanent member of the Council. Its status as a great power had been restored. He also renegotiated Germany's reparations a second time with the Young Plan, which reduced the overall amount Germany had to pay from the original sum of £6.6 billion to less than £2 billion, and which led to the withdrawal of the occupying forces in the summer of 1930. As Germany prospered, so did Weimar culture, for the masses as well as for the middle classes and elite. It was seen by many Germans as a golden period in the history of German culture. As you will have studied, the arts from painting, literature, music and cinema, in architecture and more, all blossomed. There was a backlash, though, from amongst conservatives, from older generations, as well as from all over the countryside, where traditional ways of life are always strongest. These Germans, conservative in their values and tastes, were worried at what they saw and what was happening to German values. Weimar culture was seen as vulgar, decadent and un-Germanic, and they were particularly concerned about the sexual revolution and the erosion of family values. And the Nazis would blame the Jewish prominence in promoting the arts. But back to the economy. Stresemann himself had said that the good times could end in an instant. In a speech he made in 1928, he said Germany is dancing on a volcano. If American loans are called in, a large section of our economy will collapse. Of critical importance was the fact that most of these loans were short-term loans, usually of 90 days duration. They could be renewed, and were, but they could be called in at short notice. Whilst even in the good times there were signs that not everything was right. There were those who were already struggling. Production might have been back to pre-war levels, but Germany's share of world production was still down. Small businesses were struggling to make a profit. Unemployment remained too high, whilst employers complained that the money spent on welfare benefits, sick benefits, unemployment benefit, old age pensions and war pensions meant that taxes were too high. Agriculture suffered from depression throughout the 1920s due to the fall in world food prices, and with mortgages to pay, many farmers went into debt. As for farm workers, by 1929 they were earning half the average national wage. What's more, despite the relative political stability in these golden years, the Republic still had 4 different chancellors, and almost a third of voters regularly voted for anti-Republic parties, whether of the right or the left. So Weimar was looking good, but was actually in a fragile state when the American stock market crashed in 1929 and the world plummeted into the Great Depression. A sweeping overview for you, but I hope it's useful. You can get the detail in my ebooks, and there is a set on Amazon covering the whole of the German depth study at a really good price. But of course, that's up to you. Let me thank you for listening and wish you luck in your studies. Cheers.